Welcome to At Issue. My name is H. Wayne Wilson, and for the next half hour, we're going to be talking about the health of rural communities. Too often we measure the health of a rural community by its population. Is it growing? Is it declining in population? You're about to find out that that's not necessarily the appropriate way to measure a rural community's health. And to have that discussion, we've invited four people from, may I say, rural communities.
Sure, sounds good.
And let me first introduce to you Amy Graham. Amy is the Community Development Director for the City of Carthage. That's in Hancock County.
That's right.
And we thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Across the table from Amy is Chris Merrett. He is the Director of the Illinois Institute for Rural Affairs. That's located at Western Illinois University in Macomb. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We also have Dick Breckenridge. Dick is a member of the Christian County Board, but more importantly for our conversation, you work with about 15 small counties through the Environmental Protection Agency.
Yes, I do.
And we'll find out why the EPA is involved in rural development in just a moment. But by the way, Taylorville is the big city in Christian County. Now, it's southwest of Sangamon County, Springfield?
It's, yes, a little southeast.
Southeast,
Yeah.
okay. And also with us is Kara Garten. Kara is the Peace Corps Fellow for the City of LaSalle, and we'll talk about Peace Corps Fellows and why you're involved in the City of LaSalle in just a moment. So thank you all for being here. Let me start with that image of population growth, Chris. In the case of Carthage, in the case of LaSalle, these are communities that have not seen growth in 80 to 100 years, population growth. That's not necessarily a bad sign. I mean, they'd all want more population, I know.
Sure,
that,
right. And I think that's what most people would start with. You know, is your community healthy? They'd say, well, look at the population trending downward for decades, and that would be, you know, if you were a doctor, you'd take someone's pulse and you'd go, that doesn't seem like a very good indicator. But we know that there's been some, let's call them macro scale trends, whether it's technological change in agriculture, you know, globalization in general, that has really affected the way or where we live and the kind of jobs that we do. And I think those are some of the trends that have caused rural communities to lose their population. It doesn't necessarily mean that the quality of life has necessarily declined as a result.
So when you look at a town like Carthage, a city of Carthage, 2,600?
That's approximately right, yes.
And you grew up in Carthage?
Yes, I was born and raised in Carthage.
How big was it?
At that time, 4,000.
So what do the people of Carthage, how do they feel about the city? I mean, it's lost 1,400, it's lost a third of its population.
Well, the city of Carthage is still very proud of their community. We still have a lot of very active volunteers. We are an aging population, as many rural communities are, but we also have an influx of young professionals that have moved to Carthage. So we are very optimistic. Even though our population has declined, our quality of life, as Chris said, has not reduced at all. In fact, it's continued to grow.
Up in LaSalle, you've dropped in population since the 1930s, but there seems to be an influx of new businesses coming into the community.
There has been, and I think it really sort of started with an attitude shift. LaSalle, and I haven't been in LaSalle very long, just since this past September, but from what I've been told, they really sort of hit rock bottom and have been struggling to sort of revive their community ever since. And a few years ago, they adopted this mantra of "I believe in LaSalle." And so with these new businesses that have been coming in, I think you sort of feel like the spirit is sort of infectious. And I think that people are more optimistic now than they ever have been before.
For a community that was built on manufacturing and coal and some chemical processing, what has it turned into?
It's really become very diverse in terms of the sort of economic fields where people can go into. So we still have a lot of manufacturing, a lot of industries, but there's a lot of professional people too. We have a lot of attorneys and real estate and insurance agencies as well. So it's pretty broad. A lot of retail has been coming up and a lot of restaurants as well.
In fact, you've got some new businesses that have opened up just in the last 8 months.
Yeah, we do. We have 2 that are restaurants, one that is a clothing store, one that's a custom canvas and awning shop, and the fifth one is an art gallery.
Sort of a creative economy, which is, sort of associate that with Chicago or San Francisco, but here we are in a rural community. With,
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, you mentioned Chicago, and you're not that far from Chicago. Carthage isn't that far from St. Louis. Taylorville isn't that far from St. Louis. Is there a difficult time in keeping young people? You mentioned aging population. How do you keep young people in small communities when the lure of Chicago, St. Louis, Indianapolis is there?
I think it is really developing the community and providing opportunities that will help keep. I don't want to say keep people because it sounds like it's against their will, but to provide opportunities where people are interested in staying in the community and starting their families there.
Provide a quality of life.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I was going to say there's another angle to that as well, is not necessarily, well, yes, certainly keeping them here, but I've got high school aged children, and I would certainly want them to go away and see the world a little bit, but part of it is also recruiting them back after they've seen the world, and part of that might be not necessarily seeing your rural community, for the deficits there. It's really looking at the assets. So seeing rural communities as the glass half full, understanding that there are things that you can build on, which might be one way that you can recruit young people back to start businesses, for example.
I think that's a good point, Chris. Having a positive dialogue, positive image in your community. We talked earlier about the role of a mayor. Having that face or that person in your community who talks about in a very positive manner those things that you're doing well in your community, I think is very important. We also have a satellite from Lincoln Land Community College. I think having that type of educational resource in your community is very important, and that just plays to those things that keep youth in your community.
You mentioned technology, satellite, et cetera. What about broadband? How important is broadband? And then we'll talk about whether they have it or not.
Yes, it's a huge, if you have it, it's great. And I know businesses that if you're thinking about recruiting businesses into your community, they will look at, what kind of bandwidth do you have? What's its affordability? We also know, unfortunately, that might be one of the challenges. I know that's been a challenge, at least early on in Carthage, in terms of the really great businesses you have in Carthage, but they've had to be drivers of broadband deployment in your community.
That's correct, Chris. We have two of our larger employers, which is Carthage Veterinary Service, Professional Swine Management, as well as Memorial Hospital, has been that driving force to increase broadband availability in our area. And so through their efforts, we've been able to provide better service, but we still have a long way to go, especially outside of the city in our more rural countryside.
How about Christian County?
When I look at Christian County, I'm always one proponent of we now exist in a global society. I don't care where you are, the size of your town, and I come back and I look at Christian County businesses. Sloan Implement sells John Deere equipment all around the world. GSI, Grain Systems Incorporated, sells grain handling equipment all around the world. We have Alstrom Filter Company, sells filter paper to air and fuel filters all around the world. Of course, we have ADM elevator in our community, and of course we know the ADM structure as being a very global entity. So having broadband is very important for our businesses to communicate to the rest of the world, and that is just an underpinning of economic development and need for those companies that we have in our communities today.
Some of the companies you mentioned are recognizable names, the John Deere dealership and ADM. You have smaller, well, I don't know how small they are, but yours were homegrown?
Carthage Veterinary Service Professional Swine Management, which is under the umbrella of Prairie Land Investment Group, is a company that started by Dr. Joe Connor. He was a veterinarian that moved to Carthage in the mid-70s. It was a small animal clinic, and it was actually come full circle. From that clinic, he then grew into larger animals, and then now has become an internationally known professional, knowledgeable veterinarian on swine production and research. And so we have taken that company, he has taken that company, expanded, and now we have actually come full circle where now we are back to, in addition to the professional swine management, Carthage Veterinary Service, we now are back to 2 small animal clinics. So with that, we know that the information technology piece is extremely important because he is working with professionals and other veterinarians all over the world so that that process can be streamlined through broadband availability. Same with Memorial Hospital. We have grown from a new hospital that was built 4 years ago to a clinic in Augusta, Illinois, a clinic in Nauvoo, Illinois, and we're getting ready to build a new family medical office building as well as a memory care dementia unit. And so that particular field in healthcare services, we know, which is extremely important to the vitality of a rural community, is also continuing to grow, as well as the small businesses that are around our historic square and in our rural areas. So we know that the IT piece is extremely important. One thing before you move away from that youth attraction and helping our young people understand what's available in their county, we do have a partnership between Illini West High School and the business community where we are partnering guest speakers every month to come into the high school and help the children understand that there are a lot of opportunities in Hancock County that they can pursue. If they do choose to go away, come back, there is opportunity. We're also looking at creating an entrepreneurship class in Hancock County so that we can help grow our own. So I just wanted to mention that before we move away from that topic.
And that brings to mind Canton, Illinois. The Cook family, Mr. Cook came back, the late Mr. Cook came back and built a facility in Canton where he had come from, and then was successful and came back. How do you go about recruiting alums?
Boy, it can be a real challenge, but I know that there have been some, it seems, old school strategies. I mean, you simply look through old high school yearbooks, you canvass the teachers, and you sort of know who are the good students. You sort of track them down like any sort of alumni association would at a college. And you reach out, you email them, you write them letters, and it's like a cold calling. And yeah, there's a lot of misses, but guess what? There are the occasional, single, double, triple, and home runs, if you will, of people that want it. I had a pretty good education at that school. I wouldn't mind reinvesting, reconnecting with my community. And there's a number of examples, including Canton, where that has happened. It has paid off. So that sort of alumni, reaching out to the alumni, creating a hometown association is a great strategy.
I'd like to talk about, at the start of the show, I mentioned that you're a Peace Corps Fellow. Can you define Peace Corps Fellow and why you are in economic development in the city of LaSalle?
Well, I've served in the Peace Corps. I was in Guatemala from 2006 until 2008, and when I came back, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be when I grew up, and decided I would go to grad school. And the Peace Corps Fellows Program, the Peace Corps partners with universities across the country. I think there are probably 60 or 70 programs. And Western Illinois University has a very strong Peace Corps Fellows program. And so I applied and was accepted. And as part of that program, our coursework is concentrated into 1 year on campus, and then the second year we are assigned to a city to conduct an internship. So that's how I ended up in the city of LaSalle.
And we sort of link that with the Illinois Institute for Rural Affairs. In a perfect world, what will happen is the Illinois Institute for Rural Affairs will have taken a community through, we call it our mapping process. It's really a strategic visioning process, and it's really a form of grassroots democracy. We really try to get a community to identify for themselves a set of goals. We ask them, where are you now? Where do you want to be? How do you get there? And then once a community sort of identifies some achievable goals, one of the real challenges is keeping momentum and community enthusiasm moving forward. And one of the ways we maintain that enthusiasm is by placing a Peace Corps fellow who is really a professional community economic developer. They already have international experience. They've already had experience in a foreign setting in a community. And so we have these fabulous people who are interested in community economic development, and then they spend 11 months moving that community forward and helping them achieve their goals.
The city of Carthage just went through the mapping program, and so we're getting ready to hold our town meeting this Sunday to unveil our 5 high priority goals, and we're looking forward to maintaining that momentum, as Chris said, because that's the key to any success in fulfilling our long-term goals.
So building up in the volunteer base in a shrinking population?
Absolutely. Volunteers are core to any community development. We see it in Taylorville through a number of our service clubs. We have Saratoga Club, the Optimist Club, the Kiwanis Club. Here again, the role of a civic organization in your community is not only a pool of volunteers for your community, but it is a broad-based mechanism for bringing new ideas to your city. And so in the city of Taylorville, those civics clubs really play an important part.
While I have your attention, you're on the Christian County Board, but more importantly, you work with the 15 smallest counties in the state of Illinois with the Environmental Protection Agency. Why would the Environmental Protection Agency be interested in the 15 smallest counties in economic development?
Well, through my Office of Agricultural and Rural Affairs Advisor, here again we've talked about and mentioned here in the title, agriculture and rural. So we began to naturally be drawn to those counties with needs, and so we identified the 15 counties with populations under 10,000. Those are our smallest population counties in the state. 8 that are in the south part of the state, and then another 7 that actually is up just in this region of the state. A lot of those, a great number of those that are in government, be it a mayor, village president, on a board, are all volunteer. Taylorville, there's salaries paid, there's meeting per diems paid. In those communities, they may not have that type of system for reimbursement for meetings, and a mayor may be paid, or county board chairman may be paid. Some communities, the amount paid to that person may be very small, so they have needs. They lack resources of people. It's a people thing. They do not have that ability or that staff. They may not have an economic development person. They may not have a Main Street coordinator that a lot of other communities would have. So we go in and we have this great relationship with Western Illinois University Institute of Rural Affairs to partner with them and others out there that can reach out to those communities and help with their needs. The other thing they may struggle with is basic infrastructural needs. Of course, the agency is interested in water. Water is an underpinning for any economic development that may present itself. And without clean water, without a wastewater treatment system to underpin that new business, economic development stalls. So the agency is very interested from the water side. We're very interested from just the ability to help and partner with other agencies or institutions that can assist. So we can be, we're not only the identity of IEPA, but it's the identity of our ability to partner with other institutions, other agencies to help these small counties that lack resources.
I was going to say that Dick and the EPA, another way that they really do great work in rural community economic development is many small towns, well, of course many large towns as well, will have, and we've all seen these small towns where there will be a decrepit building in the downtown area. It'll be, and many of these buildings, will have been built 100 years ago. There will be asbestos. It'll be a hazardous waste site. And it's occasionally the case where the property owner is delinquent on taxes and in fact may have walked away, and now the city owns this piece of property, and it's decreasing property values of those properties around it. It's an eyesore, and one of the things that the EPA can do is can help remediate that blighted property, and in some cases can actually either get it torn down or rehabilitate it, and guess what? Get it back on the tax rolls so that it's no longer a burden, but in fact is a contributing property on the tax roll. So that's another angle that the EPA has really a good agency to have.
Well, let's talk about empty storefronts. All cities have them. Peoria has empty storefronts, Bloomington has empty storefronts, but when you're a big city and you have 1, 2, 3 empty storefronts, it isn't quite as evident as when you drive through Carthage or LaSalle or Taylorville and you see empty storefronts. The person who's driving through town, a visitor, says, so what kind of programs might help improve that situation?
The City of LaSalle has a very strong facade grant program. We call it the Redevelopment Incentive Program, where we partner with businesses that are interested in rehabilitating a vacant building downtown, or even a building that in which their business operates, but they want to make improvements to enhance the facade. So we go in 50-50 with the person who's applying for the grant, up to $25,000. And so I know that in the past few years, they've really strengthened that program, and it's done a lot to improve the look of our downtown district.
The question of empty storefronts to you.
Yes, we have the same challenge. And so we have a downtown revitalization program and committee that's working on bringing our business owners together. I think one of the things that we have learned through our marketing is that the downtown is kind of like a retail store in itself, and that each small business is a product on the shelf. And so to help our business owners and educate our business owners as well as our building owners that this is the unity that we want to help sell, that if our downtown area is unified, maybe a facade improvement program where we all put on awnings or we all have potted plants out front, can help the unification of the downtown area. We are historic Carthage Square, which surrounds our beautiful courthouse. And so we're looking at working towards a more unified look of those storefronts and helping a facade program become a reality, and letting our business owners know that there are resources out there where this can happen.
And in Taylorville?
I think Amy mentions a good thing that we haven't talked about is agro-tourism or tourism in general, and Taylorville is on the Lincoln Trail. Lincoln in his circuit through central Illinois, the last stop was Taylorville, and there's quite a bit of history in Taylorville as a county seat where he argued cases, and some of that documentation is still there, and there was a unique case of Lincoln and the pig, and so we've kind of picked up that theme and made it as a showcase for those that are interested in the Lincoln history. But the other side is, in Taylorville, has been our Main Street program. We've, in the past number of years, had a very vibrant Main Street program that, as we talked earlier, that Kara mentioned, a facade grant program. So we've been able to come into some of our businesses and redo that facade of that business in that historic motif that was original to that building. Here again, as people drive into your town, do they want to see bright colors and well-kept businesses, or, as Chris mentioned, as some communities, you have a building that may be falling down, may be in disrepair. So having a strong Main Street program helps. Identifying those historic features that bring visitors to your community?
We started the program, and real briefly, Chris, we started talking about declining population.
Right.
Can these small communities grow their population?
In some instances, they can. One at a national scale, of course, there's been a debate about immigration, and there are some people who suggest that a good immigration policy would actually be a good rural development policy. So, I'm going to sort of go out there on a limb, and maybe a politically a divisive issue, but I think that might actually help rural communities for the farm economy in particular. So the short answer is yes. I think it can.
And with that, there's much more about rural development than we can talk about, but we're going to say thank you to all four of you. Thank you to Amy Graham, who is the Community Development Director for the City of Carthage, and seated next to her is Dick Breckenridge, who is on the Christian County Board and works in conjunction with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency.
Illinois EPA.
Illinois, well, I'll get that straight. And across the table from them, Chris Merrett, who's the Director of the Illinois Institute for Rural Affairs, and Garten, a Peace Corps Fellow for the City of LaSalle. Thank you all for being with us on At Issue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And next time, a week from now, we'll be talking about invasive species, not alien, just invasive. You've heard about Asian carp. There's many, many more. We're going to be talking about the impact they're having on our ecology and how we might control them. See you next week on At Issue.